Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Rajni Gaur. Today, I'm going to take up my subject, Language Across the Curriculum. This paper consists 4 units, and I'm going to take up a topic from first unit, Language and Communication. The very first question is, what is language? So, dear friends, language is a unique possession of human being. God has blessed us by providing us with this gift. Language holds an important place in the life of an individual. We cannot assume our life without language. It is the most important tool in the hand of a human being to communicate or to establish relationship with other in the society. So what is the meaning of language? The English word language is derived from the Latin word lingua, which means tongue. In French, langue and parole also means as language. In Hindi, the word of language or bhasha is originated from a Sanskrit root bhash, which implies sound or speech. I'm going to present this classification so you can understand well that what is language and how it is originated. Here in this classification, first I have taken up the English word language, which is derived from the Latin word lingua, which means tongue. The same language word is derived from 2 French words, langue and parole. Langue means a specific conventional form of speech, and parole means speech. The language word is used to call as bhasha in Hindi, which is derived from the Sanskrit root word bhash. Many definitions given by various educationists and linguists for language. I have chosen one here for presentation is given by Ellen. Language is a means of communicating thoughts. Another one is presented by Gleason. Language is one of the most important and characteristic form of human behavior. Both language and human life are related to each other. These 2 definitions are apt to explain that what is language and how we can use them and how it is important and how it is related to the human behavior. Now we move towards the features and characteristics of language. The characteristics of language are classified into 2 broad categories, and these 2 broad categories are structural characteristics and behavioral characteristics. So, very first we would start with the structural characteristics of language. What these characteristics are? First, language is arbitrary. Arbitrary means something which is not natural. It is on the basis of our wish and will. So it is language doesn't have any inherent relationship between the words and their meaning. Whatever the words or the meanings we understood that to certain objects and actions or activities. Language is social. Why language is social? because it is used by human called as social groups, or it is a social phenomena which is used by the human beings for the communication in the society. Third characteristic feature is that language is symbolic, or a system of symbols. Symbols stands for things, means if you are moving on the road and you have found that there is a symbol of U-turn, so it automatically reveals you that on the road ahead there is a U-turn to move on to the road. So language is symbolic or a system of symbols, and we have alphabets from A to Z. These alphabets doesn't have any individual meaning of their own. These are the symbols. When we associate these symbols together in a particular order, then they form words or sentences. Language is systematic. It conveyed meaning when organized. Language is systematic. You cannot use anything anywhere. There should be a particular way to organize words into a meaningful sentence. Language is vocal. Speech comes first and writing afterwards. And you all know that when child comes in this world, the child can only speak first. Then the child starts writing after learning a language in a formal manner. Language is non-instinctive, conventional. What is meaning of non-instinctive? Non-instinctive means something which is outcome of human evaluation, which is created by human beings and not in a day or two. It took years. Language is productive and creative. Of course, language is productive and creative because new things can be created by combined words and alphabets. For example, nowadays we are using a word fubbing. And what is the meaning of fubbing? Fubbing, we used to call this word when somebody is talking on their phone or mobile and they are ignoring the other people. So we are giving this term fubbing to this action or the behavior, and it is a new terminology which is developed. Language has duality, referring to the two systems of sounds and meaning. Language has duality. Duality means something which is dual, which is two-sided, or which consists of two systems. First is sound system and then is the meaning. Whatever the vowels we are having in our alphabets or the consonants we are having, they produce some sort of sounds. When we combine these alphabets together, they produce some different sounds. And after arranging these alphabets into a meaningful order, we have some words which convey some meaning to the another person when we used for communication. Now, next we move on to the behavioral characteristics of language. What these behavioral characteristics are? First, language is learned activity. Obviously, language is a learned activity because if someone is intended to learn, then only they will be able to speak or write or understand a particular language. It is not an automatic process. It must be learned. अगर ऐसा ना होता तो फिर तो जंगल में रहने वाले जीव जंतु भी भाषा बोलते, पर वैसा नहीं है. Language is unique. It is unique because it is two languages are not alike. They are unique in their own. Language is imitation, anukaran. Language is learned through the process of imitation. When a child comes in this world, child follows the parents, peers, neighbors, listening to them and then try to imitate whatever they used to speak. So he starts learning the language in this manner. Language is a social activity. Why it is a social activity? Because it is used by human beings, and it is a social behavior which can be learned only through social behavior. When human being moves in a society, lives in a society, he communicates through the language. So that's why it is a social activity. Language is for communication. The sole purpose of language is communication. There is no other way, or there is no other purpose for which we use the language, whether we use it in a formal way or whether we use it in an informal way. But the sole purpose is to communicate with someone. Language is habit formation. We all know that, or we all are aware of it, that practice makes a man perfect. As much as we use the language, we attain mastery over it. So practice continues till it becomes behavior. So it is the habit formation. Language is a powerful tool. Language is a powerful tool is in the hand of a human being, because with the help of language, it has that much of power. Even we can heal the wounds of someone, or we can hurt someone with the use of language. So always use the language in a positive sense, and never try to hurt someone by using language in some other way or in the another manner. Language is not static. Obviously it is not static, because it is dynamic in nature. It keeps on changing its existing structure or existing parameters as the society moves on, and as the society brings some changes into it. Accordingly, the language also changes. Language relates to culture. Obviously, language doesn't belong to an individual or an individual society. It belongs to a culture, a particular society who possess a particular culture. It relates to a particular culture, and for different culture. So these are the characteristics of language. Now we move on to the structure of language. The word structure means to arrange or organize language in a particular way. All languages have underlying structural rules that make meaningful communication possible, and there are the 5 main components of language, and these components are phonology and phonetics, morphology, third one is syntax, next is semantics, and the last one is pragmatics. These 5 components are the most essential component of language, which frame the structure for a language. So these all 5 components we will discuss in our next lecture. Hope you all will understand whatever I have conveyed to you through this presentation.